All right.
All right. Hello. Hello, creatures of the night.
Ooh, welcome to our lair.
Welcome to our podcast, friends. I thought there was this thing, and I guess it's not there anymore, but where you could go and pay to have someone do like a Vincent Price impersonation on your voice, like your answering machine or whatever. And he would just say whatever you wanted. So I was considering doing that for the creatures of the night, but I couldn't find it anymore.
That would be awesome, but oh well, we'll just have to do it ourselves.
Well, that could be our intro going forward instead of, hello, I'm Chris, and welcome to the Creatures of the Night.
Yeah, and I'm Wendy. There you go.
And that's us. Thanks so much for joining. Well, whatever. It's been working for the past 57 episodes. I guess we'll just keep going that route.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy, I got to ask you something.
What's that?
Why do you think it's acceptable to drink on the podcast, but not to eat?
Are you hungry? Are you asking for permission?
I just is the sound of slurping okay, but not chomping? I mean, everybody's got these drinking and podcasting things going on these days, and they even have really cute fucking names to go along with it, right? So I thought we should start a whole new thing and make a podcast where it's eating and podcasting, and we could do something like Paranormal Pizza Podcast. See how cute that is? It just rolls right off the tongue.
It is a really cute idea. It's like a podcast food show.
Yeah. We review foods and talk about ghosts.
Oh, you know what? There's a whole Instagram page that has got that kind of theme to it. It's, forget what she calls it. Spooky Eats or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like always finding restaurants that are haunted, or she goes to haunted locations. Like one time she was at Graceland, and then I guess she finds good food that's around there or something after that. You know what I mean? Because it's not like they have food at Graceland, but she connects it with food whenever she goes to a haunted location, whether that place is haunted or if she just goes to eat afterwards. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can kind of see where she's going. If you're staying up late fucking investigating, then you're probably going to need to eat right away so you can get your fuel just to get you back home. So maybe she's...
Well, not even that. I mean, like getting to travel around the whole country or world or whatever, and then you stop and experience like, you know, what that city has to offer, because everybody has their own like thing that they're good at. And, you know, if you were in Memphis, I guess you'd stop for barbecue or something, or just soul food or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. A guy I know who was a technician at work, he was going to Chicago not too long ago. And I'm like, dude, make sure you get some deep dish. You know, it's one of those things. If you go to certain places, you got to try those different foods. But I'm a little disappointed. I thought I was onto something there. But,
well, no, that's an Instagram page. It's not like she has a podcast. And there might be a reason for that, though.
I know.
I don't know that smacking any. I mean, like, we already have to edit out all our burps.
Well, I thought that would be a way around that. And when we do our podcastathons and we have to break to eat and stuff, we could just keep going, man. We'd be just reviewing our food that we're smacking and chomping on that everyone gets to hear about.
Now, we've been friends long enough and gone so many places together. You've seen me eat before. I mean, it's an event. Like, I don't really come up for air. So I think if we ate on the podcast, it would just be silence. And all you would hear is,
crunch, crunch.
This is good. And like 10 minutes later, I'll be done. I eat so fast.
I do too. And that's really funny because honestly, I do the same thing. I had nachos for dinner tonight and I sat here at my desk because time is coming up. And I mean, I stuffed that food in my face so quickly that I had to go and look at my face in the mirror just to see if I had it all over, like at a trough, just scourfing it down.
Yeah, I can be that bad too. So I don't know if this is a winner idea, Chris.
No. Oh, well, I'll just have to keep my thinking cap on. Or you know what? Well, let's just keep on doing the alcohol and the paranormal thing. And I think that works, right?
Yeah, that definitely works. So we'll just keep with that. That's probably why so many people do it.
So I have a little story for you about a haunted house. And as it turns out, alcohol.
It's a winning combination.
This story doesn't need much of an introduction, but I will say that I thought I knew everything there was to know about this place already, and that there was nothing else out there that was going to surprise me. And boy, was I wrong. As much as I had already known, I was a little shocked by how much I didn't know, and that turned out to be some of the more juicy parts of the story too. Kind of felt like the researchers that had been telling the story all along had been kind of holding out on us, or maybe because I already knew the story so well that I felt forced to go off looking for some more, something else is out there.
Yeah.
Either way, would you like to hear my incredibly lengthy, haunted, and historic tale?
I cannot wait.
All right. Now, first, this house was built way back in 1868 by a fellow by the name of Jacob, Fikert.
What? Sorry. That can't be right.
Well, it's Feikert, and maybe it's Fakert, but I don't know. I liked Fikert.
Well, a second ago you said like fuckert. You just said it 3 different ways.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like we said before, no, we don't need corrections when we pronounce it.
Right.
It's one of those. Probably. Maybe.
Probably, maybe. This is true. So you pick, and whichever one I go with, don't correct me later, because I already said all of them. All the possibilities are out there. So surely Jacob Fakert hadn't a clue of the significance that his house would later have. But Jacob sold the grand house that he built and raised his family in. He sold it for what seems to be a noble cause to his soon-to-be son-in-law. Now, the marriage was actually speculated as being an arranged marriage because this dude's daddy seemed to be all about some 1800s-style shadiness for the build of his dynasty, of course. So Jacob's soon-to-be son-in-law was none other than William J. Lemp.
I thought this is what you were doing. This is the best.
Cool. Now let's go back a little further and get you that juicy stuff I promised you earlier. William J. Lemp was the son of Johann Adam Lemp and Justina Anna Charlotte Baum. Long name, I know, but I only had to say it once. Justina was actually the second out of the 3 wives that Adam had.
Oh.
Yeah. His first wife, Anna Elizabeth Claremont, gave Adam 1 child, a daughter by the name of Jeanette Katerina, before Anna tragically died in 1832. Then Adam went on to marry his second wife, Justina, the one with the really long name, which was apparently only 3 months after his first wife died.
So you think like he knew about this woman before, or he was just like, yeah, I'm a man and I need to be with somebody. Yeah. And then back then it'd be like disgraceful if they didn't get married. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Now, this guy has some shady stuff going on, so it could go either way with him. It could have been like, yeah, you're a lady, I'm a dude, you know what I'm saying? Like you suggested, or I don't know, but there's just so much here that I gotta tell you. That's just the first part of the scandal of the story, I guess I should say.
Love it.
So Justina had 2 sons with Adam, Wilhelm and Jacob. However, tragedy struck the family on December 12th, 1838, when Wilhelm died at the age of 4. Jacob ended up taking his older brother's angelicized name, and by the time he was of age to join his father in St. Louis, Adam's younger son was now known as William Jacob Lemp.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Like,
yeah.
Just assuming now you are this child.
Yeah. I know. I thought that was weird too. And maybe he was just so close with his brother that he felt that it was a way for him to stay close to him.
No, I think it's a thing that people have done for a really long time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I have no idea. Like I said, I get all my facts from fictional. It's not even a fictional story, but I get it from TV. But there's a show that I've watched that happened.
You do that too?
Yeah, it was dated like much longer ago than this story. So I'm surprised to hear that it was still a thing then. But yeah, from like a prominent family, I guess.
Yeah.
It was the thing. Like that was supposed to be the firstborn's name, and now there's no firstborn. So that's you.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty much what happened here. Yeah. Okay. Now, something else you should know is that Adam Lemp was a bit of a magician himself. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah. I bet Justina didn't know that either, but check this shit out. Adam opens up a few businesses while he's still in Oswego, Germany, restaurants and things like that. He racks up a mountain of debt that he has no way of clearing up, and poof! the man disappears. Just like that.
Wow.
He left all that shit for his wife number 2, to deal with. Yeah, so pretty much he abandoned Justina and William. Oh, and the other child from his first marriage, he clearly was already over with, Jeanette.
Yeah, that was a girl. I'm sure he wanted nothing to do with her.
You're right. Just so that he could move to the U.S. and start a fresh new life. Sounds nice, doesn't it?
Does.
Fuck all that.
I'm actually really jealous of those times when you could just
walk away.
Wow, yeah, this shit ain't working out for me. I gotta go. And you just move to another country and you can be like a totally different person. Nobody's gonna find you.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it worked out well for him. So now William somehow gets swept off to the U.S. by his father much later in life. I'm not sure really why he stayed in touch with this man after that whole ordeal, because I also read that Adam paid to have William taken from his mother and brought to him in the U.S. when he was much younger. But as it turns out, that attempt at kidnapping was a failure, and William stayed in Germany at the time. So I guess he convinced him later in life, most likely with the promise of an education and a job, I just have to assume.
Yeah, more opportunity there.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, if your dad tries to kidnap you, I mean, he must really care, right?
He must really care.
I'm sure he sold that to him,
that
too.
around. Yeah. So off to the U.S. he goes. Adam brings him in to work at the Western Brewery, which is the brewery that Adam starts in the U.S. after discovering his special lager blend was quite unique and desirable to the area. And so he gives William a sweet gig as foreman and manager after he finished his schooling at St. Louis University. William then worked at the Western Brewery until he decided to leave and form a partnership with another brewer. He enlisted in the United States Army and achieved the rank of orderly sergeant. And on December 3rd, 1861, he marries Julia Fickert, I guess. Now, the honeymoon for these two was unfortunately short-lived. Just a few months after his marriage, his father, Adam, passes away. William is forced to come back to the Western Brewery, but this time as owner and operator.
Fuck yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's not great. I'm sure he was like, oh, my dad. Oh, yeah. But he's like, now this is all mine.
Right. Money, 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 money. In 1864, he began building a larger brewery above the caves where Western had once been storing its goods. Under William Lemp, the Western Brewery became the largest brewery in St. Louis and then the largest outside of New York with a single owner. William began to brew and bottle the beer in the same facility to meet growing demand, a practice that was rare at the time. Further demonstrating his innovation and business sense, he installed the first refrigeration machine in an American brewery and then extended the idea to refrigerated railway cars. This was a huge success, and Western Brewery became the first beer in the United States with a national reach. Soon, Lemp beer was being sold worldwide.
Massive. Just all because he refrigerated the shit.
Yep. He's just like, how can I get this to some other place and then be able to drink it? We just got to make it cold all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody else was doing that yet.
You know, I don't drink beer or anything, so I don't know what it tastes like really. But, you know, that's a big thing in the commercials is that it's like, what's it, coolers or whatever, and then it turns colors, the can, to tell you that it's cold.
Really?
Never mind. I'll edit this out.
I don't know.
It's a commercial I've seen. Something about if the ice caps are blue or whatever, then it's the perfect temperature. So it's apparently a big deal to have cold beer.
Look, I don't drink beer either. This podcast is useless to both of us. But that was some good knowledge, you know, for any of your beer fans out there or any beer listeners that are listening to us.
Oh, I'm sure they're disappointed in what I just said, but
well, hey, we've gotten some praise that we're drinking ciders instead. So, yeah. I mean, come on. To each is their own.
Right.
So now that William J. Lemp is rolling in the dough, he and his wife decide to transform the little house in St. Louis, Missouri into quite the showplace. Having undergone major renovations to accommodate new office spaces, the Lemps moved their offices for the brewery right into the house. Yes, the little house that I'm referring to is the Lemp Mansion, of course. So William J. Billy Lemp Jr. was born on August 13th, 1867. Like his father, he went to St. Louis University and then studied the art of brewing. William J. Lemp Jr. succeeded his father as the head of the brewery, and he soon built it into an industrial giant. In 1864, a new plant was built, but soon after, the brewery grew even larger as the demand for their product continued to grow, and so the plant eventually spanned the distance of 5 city blocks.
That's fucking big.
It's like half of St. Louis. Where do you live? Near the plant. Oh, yeah. I mean, they know where that is. You don't have to give them street name or anything.
No,
Just
I'm certain. Yeah.
West side or the... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's where I am. In 1892, the brewery was incorporated as the William J. Lemp Brewing Company. And just to prove to the world how totally badass this family was, in 1897, 2 of the brewing industry's titans toasted each other when William Lemp's daughter, Hilda, married Gustav Pabst of the noted Milwaukee Pabst brewing family. But I wonder what beer they served at that wedding. Come on.
Ooh, you have a point.
Do they just skip it? We're going with champagne. Don't even bring up the beer. Because that would just start the feud right away, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's like wine and champagne. That's it. That's all we can have.
Don't ask. You get no beer. Forget it. It was William Sr.'s 4th son, Frederick, who was born in 1873, that he had initially hoped would one day take over the company. Sadly, it was unknown to William Sr. and his family that Frederick had significant health problems. And on December 12, 1901, Frederick died of heart failure due to complication from diseases. William Sr. became despondent and slowly declined. He was dealt another blow on January 1st, 1904, when his best friend, Frederick Pabst, died. Yes, I did check those names out. And apparently his BF went by Frederick, but his full name is Johann Gottlieb Friedrich Pabst. So Frederick for sure.
Yes, let's please shorten that.
It's a whole lot of names. As William Sr. had still not recovered from losing his child, losing his best friend seemed to have been the tipping point for him. On the morning of February 13th, 1904, William was alone at Lemp Mansion except for his servants. Lying in bed in his second-floor bedroom, William shot himself in the head. At the time, his brewery was valued at $6 million and his personal assets at $10 million. Loaded.
Yeah, which, proves that money can't buy happiness.
It really can't. That should prove it right there, guys.
I'd still like some of it, though.
I mean, it might make me a little happier.
I feel like it would help.
Had it.
No, but the loss of a child, yeah, you really can't recover from that stuff.
No, it's a downer, that's for sure. A year later, William's widow, Julia, was diagnosed with cancer. She suffered with the disease until March of 1906, when she died in the same bedroom in which her husband had shot himself 2 years earlier. So William J. Lemp Jr., also known as Billy, took over the brewing company as president. Billy had married Lillian Handlin 5 years earlier. She was an heiress to a railway company.
Nice.
Yeah, and I know these people are just like...
Money, 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 money.
I know, right? Yeah, I like that. Money, 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 money. Lillian Handlin Lemp was nicknamed the Lavender Lady for her lavender-colored wardrobe and carriages. Can you imagine if you're a live person walking around and you get a nickname like that? I mean, of course you're going to be a fucking ghost. I mean, it just happened. You're doomed at that point. You are, come on.
Yes.
I
hope that she was a spiritualist and that she was like, good, I like it. I got a title before I even go out.
That means it's set in stone for me, guys.
I will only appear to you in purple.
Purple.
Lavender, whatever.
Well, it's purple. Now, the Lavender Lady filed for divorce in 1908, charging Billy with desertion, cruel treatment, and other indignities. Their divorce proceedings lasted 11 days and ended in Lillian being granted her divorce and custody of William III, their only child. Billy was granted only visitation rights. Yeah, so that Billy, that guy's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, because back then, that divorce wasn't common. So, I mean, she had money and stuff, so she probably wasn't really worried about, being destitute without her husband or something. So I guess that gives her a little bit more leverage than other women in that time. But the fact that she was willing to go that route, he must have done something to really fucking piss her off.
It's possible, but I've got some more on that.
Let's hear it.
People had often referred to Billy as a playboy or a philanderer. A womanizer.
Oh, good.
and was said to have used the beer-making caves as his playground for prostitutes and partiers.
Hold up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right.
Look, I've been in caves before. I've spent the night in caves.
Yes, you have. That's
It's
right.
really cool. It is. Like watching a movie down there, and there's some caves like where we're from that, bands will go down there and play and stuff. It's a really cool setting. I just don't know if I go down there to hang out with my prostitutes, It's a weird scene somewhat. I guess he really wanted to kind of keep this shit underground and secret.
I couldn't have said it any better. I think that that's the case. This wasn't one of those things where, clearly his wife was leaving him for specific things, and they kept it at kind of a hushed tone a little bit. Yeah, he's cruel. He's deserted me. Things like that. She didn't go so deep into it. So these other people are like, oh yeah, check this shit out. That Billy, girl, let me tell you what he's been up to. So there's a lot of rumors that have bled over into what have become the legends of the Lemps, but this one kind of goes a little deeper, which is what I had to put it in here so that you'd hear the full story on him. So back to the prostitutes and the partiers. It's been rumored that he fathered a child that had Down syndrome, although historians and paranormal researchers alike is convinced that this child, which has often been referred to by the name Zeke, was actually the legitimate child of the couple, but had been kept a secret and was hidden in the mansion's attic.
Oh. Well, because we've heard that story and stuff before, but
we didn't know that.
No. Nope. There was no connection of who that child might have necessarily been. And then the legitimacy versus, not.
Yeah, it's speculation, but that story, like what Wendy was just talking about Zeke, has been brought up to us before. But the whole reason why I went down so many dark rabbit holes with this story is because we were only given one path with this story. It was Adam, William, ghosts, and that's it. So it's like, well, what about this one? And what about that one? And every time I went down another path or an alleyway, I was like, you're fucking kidding me. That's why, or that's what happened. So that's why I couldn't wait to tell you this shit. So after the trial, Billy built Allswell, which was his country home that had a nice view of the Merrimack River. Isn't that sweet?
It is.
The home was located in what is now the southern edge of Sunset Hills. And by 1914, he was living at Allswell full-time. The Lemp Brewery suffered in the 1920s when Prohibition began. The brewery was shut down, and the Falstaff trademark was sold off to a friend, Papa Joe.
What? Really?
Okay, look, this time I need your help. He's got a last name. I have no idea how this is supposed to be pronounced.
I can't read. So.
Wait till you see this.
But this is a memorable moment that you're asking me. Oh. Yeah, Greasy Dick. That's what it is.
So now you know why they called him Papa Joe, because poor guy's last name was Greasy Dick.
Yeah.
All right, so the brewery complex was sold at auction to International Shoe Company for $588,000, and on December 29th, 1922, Billy Lemp shot and killed himself in the office, which is a room that today is now the front left dining room of the Lemp Mansion. Elsa Lemp Wright, the youngest child of William Sr., married Thomas Wright. She was pretty, by the way. I saw her picture and I was like, damn, she was a Lemp. Like everyone else is scouring her, in their pictures. But
well, they're all dudes mostly and stuff too, right?
So I guess they have to look stern, right?
Yeah,
or rich. Maybe that's
strong. I don't know.
I don't have that rich look, so I'm always smiling in my pictures. So Thomas Wright was president of the Moore Jones Brass and Metal Company. The couple separated in 1918, and in February of 1919, Elsa filed for divorce. She cited, among other things, damage to her mental and physical health. So the divorce was granted after a trial, but Elsa and Thomas soon reconciled and remarried in March 1920. But later that same month, Elsa shot herself while in bed at their house at 13 Horton's Place Not important. I don't even know why I left that in there. Not the Lemp Mansion is what I'm trying to tell you.
No, I mean, I don't know anything, and I had no idea that you were doing this story, so I didn't have time to prepare. But there are people that report paranormal activity at that location. However, it's a private residence, so I mean, people are just probably assuming. They know she killed herself there, and
there's a story.
So, right. But it's good. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not good that you put the address out because people might go cruising by now, stalking the people that live there, because apparently it's just a family home.
I know, right? I was going to tell you to use one of those beeps and kind of beep over when I say that address. But I was listening to some guy's podcast the other day, and they were trying to beep out all the cuss words, and it was the worst beep edit I'd ever heard. You could still clearly hear the cuss words. The beep was like, it was delayed. So she would say fuck and then beep. Like, you missed it.
That's hilarious. No, and you can find that on the internet where she used to live and those stories.
Yes, you can.
Obviously.
You're absolutely right. I found it on the internet. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Now, that all happened actually before Billy shot himself. So check this out. I thought this was really weird because Billy's a weird guy. He rolls up to Elsa's house. Like, as this is happening, he's notified that she's killed herself. And he kind of jokingly says, well, that's the Lemp family for you. And as you know, he killed himself 2 years after that.
You know, I was sitting here thinking, and there's no answer to this. We do not have it. But, like, how does it affect you knowing that your parent killed themselves this one way? And then you maybe suffer from depression as well, which I believe might be hereditary.
Oh, yeah, I do
Personally,
too.
I kind of feel that way. I don't know about studies or anything. I'm just spouting shit out of my own opinions. But, like, knowing that somebody went out that way and how that affects you and might think that you have the same fate or something, you know?
Yes, I 100% agree with that statement.
She did it exactly the way her dad did.
Yeah, but I think that it's an interesting concept when you realize, well, you know, that's something that your family member did. They went out that way. Either, this might be my path. I feel like this is the answer to it. Or maybe, you know what, it's not that bad. If that's the way dad went, then I can go that way too.
Maybe.
So not like we're putting that idea out there, guys.
Oh, God, no. Please
just
don't.
Trying to figure this out this is what we do. We figure things out.
We just ramble, really.
We just ramble. Remember, Pizza Paranormal Podcast.
Right. When's the pizza going to get here?
Hey, see, that could be the way that we intro it, too. Have the doorbell going on. Ding dong, pizza's here. Boom.
You get delivery at your house, don't you? I don't.
Yes. Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Oh, never
Mine
mind.
Will
then.
be DiGiorno, you know. There's no delivery.
And Fregetta makes a delicious gluten-free pizza. P.S. I'm not like making any money from Fregetta or whatever. I'm just putting that out there for anybody that's celiac.
Good to know because I love gluten-free pizza.
Oh, do you? Well, Fregetta's a good one.
Yeah, I do not have celiac disease, obviously, because I like donuts and stuff too. But I mean,
I like donuts too.
I can't eat a lot of bread stuff. It is kind of funky to me after a while. So I love a lot of your like gluten-free stuff.
Yeah, it's light.
It feels lighter, yeah.
So there, try that one then. You might like it since you like the gluten-free stuff.
Yeah. And if Freshetta wants to, do a commercial.
Sponsor? Yeah.
That would be awesome. Somebody let them know that we mentioned them.
Somebody that listens has to work for them. We've got 3,000 downloads or something like that? Come on, guys, help us out. So in 1939, William J. Lemp III, the only son of Billy Lemp, licensed the Lemp name to Central Breweries of East St. Louis. Central Breweries renamed itself the William J. Lemp Brewing Company and began a grand marketing campaign resulting in increased sales of the new Lemp beer. The contract was terminated by Ems Brewing, which had bought Lemp out in 1945. I think it's Ems, it's EMS. So maybe it's EMS Brewing or it's Ems. Charles Lemp, the third son of William Sr., was the final Lemp to live in the mansion, starting in 1929. Now, he actually pieced out of the brewery business in 1917 to go into banking and finance. He also dabbled in politics, as we all love to do. He never married, and he lived with his dog in the mansion, along with two servants who were a married couple. in 1941. Charles Lemp sent a letter to a South St. Louis funeral home requesting that in case of his death, his remains should be taken by an ambulance to the Missouri crematory. His body should not be bathed, clothed, or changed. His ashes should be put into a wicker box and buried on his farm. There were to be no funeral held or a notice even put in the papers. 8 years later, on May 10th, 1949, he shot his dog and then himself in the head, leaving a why take the dog, man?
You know, I assume he was hoping that they'd be on the other side together. Not that he was just trying to be cruel.
Yeah.
Though it is.
It is. I don't know. Maybe the dog had cancer and he was putting the dog out of his misery.
True. Maybe we don't know. Maybe he knew the dog was sick and he couldn't handle it when the dog was going to die.
Right.
He didn't tell anybody that. He didn't
tell anybody that.
Like a hermit, you know.
He is. He did leave a suicide note and it was short and sweet. In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me, Charles A. Lemp.
The end.
The end.
I bet he wrote several others and was like, no. He's like, I don't want people to know all my business. You're dead. It's okay.
Yeah, right? It's okay.
Let it out.
They're going to find out.
Oh, he needed therapy.
I know. After Charles's death, the only surviving son of William Sr. was Edwin Lemp. Louis Lemp, who was the second oldest son, actually had passed away of natural causes back in 1931. So Edwin, the youngest son, he worked in the brewery until 1913. Then he retired in 1911 at his estate he called Cragwald. It's a beautiful name. It also overlooked the Merrimack River. Cragwald had an observation tower, 2 servants' houses, and a collection of birds, antelope, sheep, yak, buffalo, and other exotic animals. After his retirement, Edwin dedicated himself to many charitable causes, primarily the St. Louis Zoo. Good man.
Yes. Thank you. I do like that zoo.
I like this guy too. He ended up passing away at the ripe old age of 90.
Wow.
I know. He lived, I don't know if this is true, but it seems like longer than any of them, really. His final order to his caretaker was to destroy his art collection and all of his family heirlooms. And I wonder if it's because he thought that shit was haunted. He's like, get rid of it.
No, when you said art collection, I'm like, porn.
Why
else was he destroying it? But then you said other family things. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, never mind. I thought he strictly just had a weird art collection that was a little risque. And he's like, gosh, I don't want anybody to see this.
I love that. That's great.
But no, there were other things involved. So I don't know. I guess he just didn't want people. You're right about the haunting thing. That's one route to take. But then he could just be like, I don't want anybody to collect our shit.
Yeah. It's weird because the Lemps actually have vaults in the mansion. And the reason why they had them, they were huge art collectors. They collected so much fucking shit that they didn't have enough wall space to put it up. So they had to put it all in the vault. And I don't know if they were just like switching that shit up every 5 months or 6 months or whatever, but the vaults were just for holding their art collection. So I don't know if Edwin got that shit and held on to it thinking maybe it was going to be worth some money. It's just like, man, burn that shit. It sucks. Whatever they were collecting. I mean, if it's anything like, that clear shower that William had to go out and get, I mean, maybe it just wasn't Edwin's taste. But I thought that was interesting. So, do you hear my dog barking?
I did hear something. I was trying to make out what it was, but it just sounds like a squeak, squeak, squeak.
That's what she sounds like. She's trying to be all big and bad right now, too.
Yeah, and she sounds like
she's ferocious. All right, she might be done. All the buildings that once made up the massive Lemp Brewery, including the 2 small structures that made up Adams Brewing Redemption, are now long gone, having all been demolished for the construction of the Gateway Arch grounds. In 1950, the mansion became a boarding house, and throughout the next decade, it lost most of its ornate charm. The construction of Interstate 55 during the 1960s led to the destruction of much more of the grounds and one of the carriage houses. Although many of the original details of the home have been replaced, there are still some original pieces that remain. The decorative iron gates from the open-air elevator, which can be viewed from the basement restaurant. In the office where William Lemp Jr. committed suicide, there is still an Italian marble mantle. The ceiling in the parlor is hand-painted and gorgeous. The main bathroom includes a very strange glass-etched shower.
Tub and shower, right?
Yeah, it was. It was a combo.
Yeah, just in the middle of the women's room.
Yeah, just hanging out by itself. And to me, because it's just out there in the open, it seems like it'd be a cold shower. I'm sure you can heat that water up, but
Well, also the room is so big too. So it's you're never going to get a steam shower in there.
No, you're going to open that door and you're going to get super cold right away. So other than that, they have a couple other unusual fixtures in the room. They've got a barber chair and a sink with glass legs. I'm sure he brought them back home from somewhere fancy, but the main piece de resistance is that funky ass shower. So the mansion was sold and turned into a boarding house that flopped. Like I mentioned a second ago, but that's what's strange is that the residents that they had frequently complained about strange disturbances.
What?
Odd. And according to local legends, several published articles and websites, and oh yeah, of course, yours truly, The Creatures of the Night, the Lemp Mansion is fucking haunted.
Yeah, it totally is.
One spirit that has sometimes been referred to as, and guys, these aren't my words, so don't bash on me. This is out there for everyone. The monkey-faced boy is thought to be the son of Billy Lemp, otherwise known as his name, Zeke. A variation of his story states that Zeke was actually William's brother, born deformed or mentally disabled. Now, William, he had a brother, but he died as a child. Or did he? Anyways, there aren't any records to substantiate any of the stories, but there has been some weird paranormal shit going on where Zeke is said to linger, which is why all of these kinds of rumors exist. All right, so you got your phone handy?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go over a couple of things that I found online at seeaghost.com. The first picture was taken in 2014 on the third floor of the Lemp Mansion. They claim that if you look really, really, really closely in the doorway of the Frederick Lemp suite, you can see a faint apparition, which they believe is that of Zeke. Look, I'm not really sure here. Honestly, I've taken so many pictures just like this in the past, and they were very questionable. So, Wendy, I am going to send you said questionable photo.
That's what we should have. It's like some music that plays.
Now, I'm not saying that this is or this is not something, but I would like to say quite possible that this one isn't going to go up on our social media because it's a tough one to explain. So if you want to see this photo that I'm referring to, go to seeaghost.com, click on research, and find the link called Lemp Mansion's Ghost of Zeke, and comment on the podcast when you see it and let us know what you think. They also have another picture, again, thought to be that of Zeke, and it's titled The Nursery Room. And this one's weird.
Well, yeah, so impress me with the next one.
All right.
Because
yeah, the first one's nothing, right?
I'm like, what are we looking at? Where do you want my eyeballs to go?
Right in the middle of that doorway.
Because no, I don't see it.
I don't see it. They didn't draw a circle around it, which would be helpful.
I need circles, please.
I need circles.
I wear glasses.
I mean, for a reason.
I don't know. I don't see anything. And did you say that the first one, it was supposed to be in the center of the door?
Yeah, they say if you look really, really, really close.
You mean if your mind matrix some eyeballs or whatever there?
I think
that's
so.
What's going on. I mean, like, no.
Yeah, they should have drawn something. I don't see it.
Well, also, if you don't want your shit questioned,
right,
then it's got to be a fucking ghost standing there waving at you.
Standing there. Hello, here I am.
Hi, it's me. You know, it can't just
it's your boy, Zeke.
Hey, it looks like there's eyeballs in the middle of the store. Yeah.
Right.
No.
So did you get the other picture?
I did get the other one.
So this one is, like I said, it's supposed to be the quote-unquote nursery room.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the few areas that are off limits to the public. No one is really quite sure why. There's tons of rumors, of course. But if you ask anyone that works at the Lemp Mansion, they'll tell you that the room is for storage. No one's allowed to go in there.
Is this the room on the second floor? And there was always a light in there that was on.
Yes. This is it.
So we worried if there was a caretaker in there, but there wasn't supposed to be any on the ground. So
no.
This is the room that's closed off to people.
This is it, yeah.
So we're talking about the thing that's in the window, I guess.
Yeah, the thing that actually looks like a fist that kind of came up and is knocking on that glass is what it looks like to me.
I was thinking a baby walrus. That's
Yeah.
where my...
I see it.
Yeah, the eyes and the teeth. It looks like a goblin. I mean, this doesn't look like... Don't tell me this looks like a person, because it doesn't.
No, but remember, though, too, that the glass has that funky, like, frost on it, so
Yeah.
the image would be distorted for sure. Now, what the guys there, they were actually doing a seance out there in the hallway, and they just saw a shadow pass in front of the door and took a picture of it. So when looking at the picture, this is actually what they got. So that's kind of weird.
It's kind of cool because you can obviously tell it's inside the room.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any lights on or anything in that room if it's being used for storage. So what is causing this situation?
Right. A room that's always locked, that ain't nobody supposed to be in it. So, of course, yeah. I mean, I'd be focused on that door, too, like taking picture after picture after picture. Please, something happen.
Well, I felt like that when we were there, that door was really creepy to me. Like,
it was.
Just the fact that it seemed like there was some kind of light or something, as if there was a person
it was glowing.
behind it. Yeah, but there was not supposed to be anybody in there.
Yeah, it was weird. I totally feel your vibe. It was almost like when we went to the Watsiko Wonder House, and we knew that dude was in his room upstairs. He told us he was going to be in there. We knew he was in there. It was that same situation here, but nobody told us that there was anybody in there. In fact, it was locked and it was storage. But it felt like somebody was in there.
We pulled on the door handle and everything.
Yeah.
To see if we can get in there, and we couldn't.
Yep.
But it felt like you were almost afraid somebody was going to open the door after you did that and been like, what are y'all doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, leave this door alone.
Right. So since I'm sending you pictures, I gotta send you some more. This is some of our evidence that I don't know if this will make it to social media for an extreme reason. But this is one of the ones that I had taken, and I don't think this ever made it to the website because I just kept looking through the stuff and found shit later. When I was researching the story, I had to go back and start looking at our photos again. So came across these two images that I had sent you back in the day, and this just fucking had me dying laughing.
I'm not joking. You got to put this out here because what did I just say? I need circles around things. I was just looking at this without any circles on it. I'm like, okay, what am I looking at? That corner by that table at the top. I wasn't looking low to the ground like that. But then when you circle it, I'm like, that's a fucking baby. That's a toddler. Like,
isn't that weird? Yeah. Now, we don't always catch, like, it's a very clear, obvious shadow person. You know, there are highly questionable pictures, as I said earlier, that never make it out there to anybody because we look at it and we're like, yeah, everyone's going to look at that and be like, well, what the fuck is it? So I don't know. There was another picture that I saw while I was there online at seeaghost.com. And while you're there, you should take a look at this one too. I'm sending this one to you now, Wendy. This one is titled Ghost of Julia Feckert Lemp. And you'll have to zoom in on it when you see it. There's some image in the mirror off to the right that happens to be illuminated. It's the only person in the mirror with an illumination. Of course, the people that captured it said that it's none of them. They're actually below the mirror taking pictures. So they caught this image and believe that it's said to be Julia Feckert, who is thought to haunt the mansion.
Listen, this picture in the mirror, now that's cool. I see it.
Yeah, right.
This one's good. Right. You can see this is a girl. This is a woman. She's got hair, you know, like past her shoulders and everything. Yeah. Now, it's just the thing that, like you said, we weren't there. So we don't know if they're fibbing about who might have been in that mirror. But that is cool. Is this the mirror in the office? In the front room?
Oh, I wonder.
Because that mirror, you know, you have to be pretty damn tall to be in those mirrors.
Yeah.
They're mounted pretty high is all I'm saying. They're like mounted over fireplaces.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Now, all of those that I just covered, clearly they're not ours. We weren't there. It's just other images that are out there for you to see and decide for yourself, like I said earlier. But we did stay at the Lemp Mansion ourselves, and we caught a few things that we'd like to share with you all too. What we did was book a stay at the Lemp for 2 crazy nights, and this is back in March of 2015. And we've brought this up so many times on podcasts in the past, so I'm not going to give you our every play-by-play. If you want to hear more, start on this episode and just work your way backwards, guys, through our past podcasts. You'll get the whole story, like play-by-play. We sprinkled in our experiences like everywhere over the past 50 episodes or so.
Yeah.
So for right now, I'm just going to give you our evidence. Starting with an EVP that we caught, we started out investigating the first room at the top of the stairs. This is the Charles Lemp suite, a room. I guess it's just a room, right?
I think they call it a suite,
They do?
but it doesn't even have a private bathroom. But it's a very large room, so I don't know.
It's a huge room, that's for sure. It's at least the size of my living room and kitchen. Yes, so this is the room that we stayed in on the first night. Like the good little paranormal investigators that we are, we took out our equipment, and with our EMF meters, we took a baseline reading of the room. Next, we began with our opening ritual and our introductions. Immediately afterwards, we reviewed the audio recorder for anything unusual and heard a strange animal-like sound. At the time, Wendy was listening to the audio recorder, and I was on the other side of the room. But we both heard it and thought it was either some weird interference or something that was being played back on the audio recorder. So, I walk back over to Wendy, and I take the audio recorder, and I try to replay it, and we don't hear the sound again. So it's very clearly that it didn't come from our recorder.
Yeah.
But Wendy had her video recorder set up, and she was filming the whole thing. And guess what? You can hear that shit on the video. And it's so weird. It's like a weird animal. We had some interesting spikes on meters that were not contained to one area. It seemed as if we were chasing a small child or an animal around. So we were both right away on the same page, thinking that this was like a cat noise or some kind of an animal that we were chasing around. Also, while we were doing our opening, I had felt something tug at my pants leg while I was sitting in the chair and felt weird vibrations on the floor around me. It was just odd activity, and we weren't sure what to make of it. You know, we were just basically getting started, and we're kind of like, well, what's that? Oh, what the hell? What is that? The only stories that I could find out about an animal was about the dog. So, I have another picture for you, Wendy. Now, this is the picture that I've titled The One That Wendy Likes. Now, we're actually in the mansion and we're investigating it. Our host has abandoned us. He's locked us in, sealed the doors, or so we thought, and he peaced out. Wendy and I are in the first room to the left. This was once one of the Lemp offices, and where Billy was the one that committed suicide in this room.
Mm-hmm.
The picture was taken in the same room and only minutes after catching another EVP. The image is one of our favorites from the evening because it happened around the same time we received that EVP, and it also closely resembles both a human and an animal form. It's very interesting and is unlike anything we've ever captured before.
Yeah, this is the best ever. This is magic right here.
It's a crazy picture.
This is a ghost. Nobody can deny. That's a fucking face, and that's some hands, and he's flying through the air.
Yeah, I was trapped at the airport, LaGuardia, on my way home from doing this investigation with Wendy. We had some ice on the runway, so apparently the planes can't go anywhere. So I'm sitting there in the airport looking at just my pictures, really. And I came across this and other pictures, and I'm like, what in the hell is this? I mean, it's just so bizarre, dude. And it's like, yeah, it's got all the right features, right? I mean, walks like a duck, looks like a duck.
It's a ghost. Yep.
It's a ghost.
You flip through these photos and you flip through these photos and you're like, am I examining it completely and thoroughly? Am I looking for any shadows that shouldn't be there, any light anomalies that shouldn't be there? Because spirits can form in those ways. They're not necessarily going to be standing there with a sign saying, I'm a ghost.
I'm a ghost.
So, you take a picture and then you over analyze it like crazy. And that's where matrixing happens.
Yeah.
It's lines in wood and brick and whatnot. Yeah, start to form faces and whatnot. Every once in a while, you can still find evidence that way. You're like, wait a minute, that's so weird. That shadow shouldn't be there, or that orby thing shouldn't be there. And none of my other photos had orb-looking things in them. But it's very rare that you're flipping through your photos and you're like, why is there a ghost face with hands floating in this space?
That just seems to be flying through the air.
That's weird.
It was like one of those where it was almost too easy. Like, that just happened? Really?
So then you even start to question these photos more because Chris was like, I don't know about this photo. It's out of focus.
Yes.
But it's not like it was another person there with us staying the night that we happened to just be swinging around the camera and taking a photo. And then we caught this blurry person that's green with their hands all bent down weird. No, this is a fucking apparition.
Yeah, that was why I said animal-like, because of the way his hands are bent backwards. It, at a weird, unnatural way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I hope that when I'm a ghost and I float around that my hands are more out,
Superman style.
Hell yeah. So, that one's definitely going to be posted. So the next one that I have to discuss with you is an experience that was wild. And this experience, even though I think it affected me most, it encompassed us and a whole group of women that were in the Lemp Mansion celebrating a birthday party. Because apparently that's what cool people do.
Yeah.
They celebrate birthdays there. I don't blame them. This place was amazing. So this group of wild women, they were actually a bunch of really fantastic gals. We met them earlier in the evening. They invited us up. They had the whole third floor kept to themselves, I think.
Yeah.
And they were just doing it up. They had drinks. They had a kitchen. They were like, have a drink with us. And we're like, that's okay, lady. We have to investigate. Thank you. And then they just wanted to spill the beans on all the paranormal experiences that they had. And it was just fun. It was a cool experience to be around other people that just love the paranormal as much as you do. It's almost like you want to hang out some more. So they hung out with us some more. They came down to the first floor and started investigating with us. They got to use some of our tools, which I guess was kind of cool for them because they just came empty-handed. They were just looking more for the experience. And I think they got maybe a little bit more than they bargained for, huh?
Oh, yeah. Definitely one of them.
Yeah, definitely one of them. Right. So suddenly one of the guests becomes totally overwhelmed with fear and wants to jet the fuck out of there immediately. Wendy ends up setting her camera down in the hallway and tries to kind of console that woman, completely unaware of the sudden activity spike that was taking place in the dining room where I was standing with a group of these girls. I had this fucking ghost meter. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast before, but let me tell you, everybody has this fucking piece of equipment in their artillery, right? It's clear. It lights up when it alerts, it beeps. And so it lights up. It's got a red top on it. It kind of reminds me of one of those clear phones from the 90s, when it rang and it did its thing.
Yeah.
So it's been a very weird tool for me. And just to elaborate on that a little bit more. So Wendy and I went to the cemetery and we might have talked about this experience before. But anyways, we go there. I'm super paranoid. Anyways, I'm just putting that out there. We get out of the car and I'm super paranoid, right away. I'm on high alert. The neck hairs are all standing up. I just don't even want to move. And as we go into the graveyard, it gets darker and darker. And then all of a sudden, these drunk guys come walking down the street and they're hooting and hollering. They see us. And I'm like, duck down, Wendy. Get down underneath, hide behind this tombstone. I don't know what they're going to fucking do. And Wendy's like, get up. Let's go. So she drags my scared ass out of the graveyard. We get back in my car and we're shooting on down the road. Well, the whole time this meter's going off and we don't know why it's going off. It's just going off. And I got an EVP in the back of the car at the same time. And it's always really creeped me out. And here I was thinking, this stupid meter won't shut up, but it might have actually been catching something. And I'm just like, stupid meter. Well, back to the limp and this meter's going off. Then after that, my freaking camera starts making noises. And it's like, so I've got this thing beeping. My camera's freaking out. And I'm like, what in the fuck is happening? It's just burst of activity, right? So I said to the other lady, and I don't have any of their names. And I don't even know if it would be cool if I had said who they were. So I'm just going to pretend her name is Joyce. So I said, Joyce, let's try something out. Let's grab the K2 meter and you hold the K2 meter while I'm holding the ghost meter and let's just see if they get the same readings. So see if they both start going off. So at that time, she grabs the K2 and she's holding it right next to the ghost meter. All of a sudden, my finger starts burning. And I don't know why, but my finger's right on top of the meter. It's not like I'm whipping my arms around, doing the YMCA or anything. My finger starts burning and I'm like, what the fuck is it? I can't see anything because it's pitch black in there. So I'm just like, all right. The K2 isn't reading. This thing's going bananas. Let me get out of here. There was just so much going on. I go out into the hallway and there's a visible cut on my finger. And I'm like, well, how the hell did that happen? Of course, my knee-jerk reaction is to stick my finger in my mouth and start, trying to correct the situation. I'm trying to wrap my head around the situation. And somehow I just got cut. All the meters were going off. The lady starts freaking out. She's in a panic. Wendy's trying to like get her to calm down. We don't even know what had freaked her out so much, but she like goes to leave. She's like trying to get out of the Lemp. Didn't she end up like actually leaving?
Yeah, she did. You can't go out the front door. It's locked with like a key you can't open. So you have to go out the back. And she is like in the doorway of the front door is like, I gotta get out of here. And people are like, no, don't leave. But also you can't get through this door, ma'am. Like, so even if you wanted to leave, it's not happening here.
There was another couple that was down there too, but her husband went missing. Do you remember that? And she's like, all of this activity
was happening at the same time. Yeah.
All at the same time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, where's my husband? Where's my husband? And I'm like, lady, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. What are you talking about, husband? She's like, he was right here. I'm like, people just don't go missing. I mean, we're in a hotel. He's here somewhere. Did you check your room? She's like, yes, and he's not there.
Yeah, she was hanging out with us. And then at this point, when you got scratched and the other lady was freaking out wanting to leave, that's when she was all of a sudden like, where's my husband? And yeah, he was sitting down in the basement all by himself.
Right. So that was interesting, that whole experience that I just told you about. Wendy filmed a good portion of it, so that's out there. And we had it on audio too. I'll definitely try to clip as much of that as I can and put it on social. So now we're going to go back to the Charles Lemp room. This time we are investigating while we sleep. And that's because Wendy loves to watch hours upon hours of footage of our toes. Y'all, this is a dreadful process. Wendy, I'm sure, can tell you.
Yes.
But it has yielded some very interesting results. And that is why she does it. And yes, it takes a while to get through all of it because it is hours upon hours of nothing happening. But thank you, Wendy, for your dedication and your persistence to watching these videos because you have captured some very amazing things. For example, while we were sleeping in the Charles Lemp room, there's a low whisper that sounds like it says, leave them. First of all, who the fuck is the voice referring to? And second, who is them? It's us. It has to be referring to us because there ain't nobody else in that room sleeping but the two of us. Why is there a voice happening on a video while two other people are sleeping? That's fucking paranormal, guys. So back to what I was saying earlier. Be prepared to fucking record everything. You will never, ever know what you're going to miss until you miss it, I guess. Whatever. What am I trying to say? It's gone. This was something we had no idea we were even going to catch. And there it was while we were snoozing. And next up, because there was another thing that happened that Wendy caught on her video while we were sleeping. It sounds like somebody or something is bumping up against the camera's microphone. Like it's either being rubbed or like bumped against. We can't explain it. We were sleeping. There shouldn't have been anything touching the damn camera.
Nope.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah. So if you think about, like, if anybody's ever been to the Lemp and they're listening to this, then they know that there's a hallway off of this room and there's also a shared bathroom off of this room. So when you talk about EVPs, you could be like, oh, that could have came from like another space or whatever. And I don't know, maybe it could have. It just doesn't sound like it came from the hallway, but that's open to interpretation and criticism. Now, there was, as far as I'm aware, no one else in this room. Just all of a sudden, it's like someone's fucking with the camera and nobody's in there.
Right. And I mean, the whisper's loud enough that it sounds like it's close enough to the camera.
Yes. It does.
Not like, what does it say? What? No, it's like right there.
Yeah. I mean, and we wouldn't put it out there if we didn't think that it was paranormal. So, you know, from our experience there and the way that it sounded when somebody was in the hallway versus the way it didn't sound like somebody was in the hallway, it sounded like they were in the room. But like I said, people will criticize everything. So it's fine if you want to write that one off. But this whole bumping of the camera thing, you can obviously see where we're at and there's nobody else in that room.
Right. There's nobody. That's what that really creeped me out. Because it's like either there was somebody else in the room, which why the fuck were they in that room? Or there wasn't somebody in that room, which means it was paranormal. Either way, that was such a creepy thing. I'm so glad that it was a film. It wasn't just an audio. So that was really weird. And I absolutely love that. And we'll do everything that I can do to get that out on social media this week. Another odd picture is of a woman's face. Okay. So, Wendy, get prepared to get another picture. You've seen this one in the past. It's coming back for you. So this is a weird one. Like I said earlier, I was stuck in LaGuardia looking through my evidence. And when I saw this, I was just like, what in the hell is really happening here? So it's my reflection in a mirror. I'm standing in one room taking a picture across a hall of another room. Basically, all I'm doing is documenting the area. You'll see me very clearly, no doubt about it. I'm standing there, this time just, snapping away. But as I snapped these pictures, something weird appears, and it looks like a bodiless head floating right above mine. And then just beyond that head, there seems to be the top of someone else's head that's starting to form, and it looks like dude's hair. Like it has like a, the butt crack part in the middle, and they're all just floating there. There's no bodies attached to these heads, and they appear in a way that they look like they're kind of standing in line behind me. It's a weird one. I often, kind of wondered if they were trying to sneak up behind me to see what I was looking at that magic box. Like, what is she looking at? Like they're stacking up behind me. Hey, well, I want to see too. It's a weird, that's just how my brain works.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What she got there? So another EVP that we got, we were on the 3rd floor where the little boy is often seen, Zeke. We were actually exploring the area during the day just to get a visual on everything and to document it. And of course, we brought along our paranormal investigating toys. So we catch some really low voices. It sounds like it's saying, "Leave me." Then after a pause, there's another word, and it sounds like it says "alone." I heard something with my own ears. I remember, I remember it clearly because I just watched it on YouTube. But I said to Wendy, did you say something? And she right away, no. Clearly kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't say anything. So it's cool to me that there was something there that I actually heard something and it was caught on audio. I love it when that happens. I love when you fucking hear something and something actually was there.
Yeah.
So it sounds, like I said, if you listen to the audio, it sounds like it says, "Leave me." Then there's a pause. "Alone." It's up for interpretation. It's a whisper. You guys listen to it and tell us what you think it says. That would be cool. And this is one of my favorite parts, guys, the bar. Mm-hmm. So the bar is on the main level, and it is a very empty bar. Let me just let you all know it's the dead of night. Nobody is there, right, except for the people that are staying in the mansion. And then this man's voice suddenly says, "No, don't do that." I mean, it's pretty clear, too. It's like, what? Excuse, what did you say? There ain't no men down there. It's just Wendy and I. And the place is shut down, closed up. There were no patrons at the bar. And this, like I said, EVP is super loud and very odd. And then a little later, as Wendy is totally alone at the bar this time, Wendy asks something about studying because the bar area was once the library. And there's another really clear voice this time, and it's a female, and it just replies to Wendy with, "We're not." Like, no, we're getting a drink on or whatever. Right. I don't know. It's just very clear. So, man, this shit is just happening everywhere. There's so many voices, and everyone's willing to talk to you. You just got to ask the right questions, I guess.
Yeah, it was like the most inviting haunted location that we've ever been to.
It is in a weird way. They were really ready to interact with you. It was spooky. Like I said, there's things going on all night long, but this was a good one. I really loved Wendy's clips from the bar. And that's because it comes up again later on. So now I'm moving into the Elsa suite. And this is the room that we stayed in on the second night. You guys have to forgive me. I'm not going in any particular order here. I'm actually jumping all over the place. This is so many years ago that it was hard for me to put it in chronological order. But I am on to night 2. So at least I've got that going for me. So, and where the Elsa suite is, which by the way is a really cute room with a beautiful bathroom. It was really neat. But it's in a position that it faces the road. So you're getting road noise all night long. Very clear road noise. So in the EVP that I'm about to tell you about, you will hear the road noise. But listen to the other things that are going on because they're there. And we catch another EVP. This time, it's a man's voice. To me, for some reason, it just kind of felt like Charles Lemp because Charles was said to have been shut off, kind of crabby, very reclusive. Before Wendy talks, you'll hear something. It's inaudible. Yeah. It's a low voice, but you can't understand what it's saying. And just after that, she brings up the fact that she heard a man's voice earlier, and she asks, do you know who it was? And the voice responds very clearly with, want them out. It's like, get out of here. Again, it's interacting. It might not want to, but it is interacting.
I wonder if that's why the first night, because that's where those ladies were staying. Like the woman that vamped out, did she encounter something like that? Some kind of spirit that was kind of like, y'all bitches are annoying. Get out of here.
That's a really good point, because like when we were up there with everybody, it didn't seem like anything weird was going on. Like they were just hanging out, having a fun time. Everything was laid back. It didn't seem like there was anything negative, and none of them seemed crazy. I'm just putting that out there. Everyone seemed level-headed, So when she got so creeped out and left, maybe something had happened to her previously, like you suggested, and she just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, she had all her shit. And all the other ladies had been investigating with us. So that meant she went up to that floor by herself.
Yeah.
And we were up there, just the two of us, and we heard this man's voice, and then this is what it said, then she might have experienced that where she heard something and it did not give her the vibe of like welcoming,
Yeah.
So she was like, I don't know about y'all. I'm not sleeping up there. I gotta go. So
That's pretty funny. I mean, there's no telling how I'd react. You would think if I'd go up to a room and I knew it was haunted, I mean, I'd have to assume that I'd be like, yeah, shut your trap. Wait for me to come back with a recorder, please, so I can get that for everybody. But you never know. I mean, I might be like, and I'm done. That's enough for me.
Yeah.
So this next EVP that I'm going to tell you about was caught as we were pretty much wrapping things up for the night. We were kind of standing around and chatting about a previous case. Coincidentally, we just did a podcast about that location. It's called Rockin' Out to the Nuns.
Oh, were we talking about that place? Oh.
Yeah, we were. So we're just chatting away with our new friends from Missouri, and all of a sudden there is a blood-curdling scream. It was caught on our audio, though nobody heard it at the time. It's near the end of the video and so weird and so out of place, and I wonder if it could be linked to the haunting of either Julia Feckert or the Lavender Lady, who are both said to linger in the house. Julia actually found her husband's body after he shot himself. And obviously, Julia has a really strong tie to the house, being that her father built it. So, it's one of those things. It's a weird scream. And nobody that we knew of was screaming. We would have heard it and probably gone to investigate it.
Right.
Probably.
We don't react to it at all.
Right.
Nobody says, what the hell was that or anything. And it is so loud. Right. So there's no way that had we actually heard it with our own ears that we wouldn't have said something about it or peed our pants and left.
Right.
Because it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it doesn't leave a good impression. And it was at the end of our 2 nights there. We hadn't had anything really bad happen. There was definitely weird shit going on, and it seemed so active. It wasn't like a place that you had to beg for it to do anything. Like we said earlier, it was waiting to communicate with somebody, even if it was just to say, can y'all just go somewhere else? I mean, it was a great place. Now, we also visited the cemetery where the Lemps have been laid to rest. That's the Bellefontaine Cemetery. And again, we've talked about this amazing cemetery before and how it absolutely captivated me, blah, blah. And though I'd never been locked inside a cemetery before, I was happy that the Bellefontaine was my first. But prior to this, we were scouring the massive cemetery looking for the Lemps family gravesite. And when we found the tomb of William J. Lemp, well, we did what any other ghost hunter would do and pulled out a recorder. And guess what? We caught a weird whispery EVP. Wendy, she just happened to place her recorder down on the steps of the tomb, and she returned to the car for a second. During that short time, there were 2 voices captured, although we're not exactly sure who those voices could have actually been, since it is a graveyard after all. Could have been anyone's spirit floating by. But one voice says, I don't have far. while the other voice says something like, I got it. Both voices are very whispery, so it's not something you'll be able to hear without your headphones. I definitely crank up the volume and listen to it. It's weird to catch something like that, especially two voices in one recording. It's not something that she had to like piece together and be like, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. It was all at once, and we weren't there for very long.
And the way the wind was like, that's why it's kind of wispy like, because it just floated in.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was sound carrying from another place or anything. For one thing, we drove through that whole cemetery. There was like
nothing.
I don't remember seeing anybody else there. It's a really interesting EVP.
It is a really interesting EVP, and you're right. Honestly, I don't remember seeing anybody else in that whole place when we drove like all up and down every one of those roads looking for some sign of life or afterlife, even a way out at this point. We're like, where the fuck are we? I mean, it just seemed like we were going on forever in there. Yeah, I thought that was really wild. And I did wait till the very end to bring that up because I learned something interesting. There's apparently over a dozen people, none with the last name Lemp, that are all buried in the large Lemp family plot. All right next to Jacob Feckert, William Lemp's father-in-law, which made it obvious that the story of Adam Lemp's personal life in America was a bit more complicated than first thought, especially when it came to the sons, the grandsons, stepsons, and the stepdaughters, who all relied heavily on the business wealth of Mr. Lemp. While the story of William J. Lemp, the son of Adam's second wife, Justina, is very well documented, the saga of his first and third wives' children are largely unknown. As mentioned before, Adam Lemp's first wife, Anna Elizabeth, she died in Germany, but their daughter, Jeanette Katerina, moved to America at some point. She marries this guy named Justus Bronnett. I love that name, by the way. It's so strong. They had a son, and they named him Charles. To make things even more fucking confusing, he moves to St. Louis when his grandfather dies and is named as one half shareholder in the Western Brewery with his half uncle, William J. Lemp. They could only sell out their shares to one another, which Bronnett later did. So Charles was married too. His wife's name was Albertine Ernst. However, like many of the Lemp family figures, she died tragically at the age of 24. Ooh. She succumbed to tuberculosis, which would also kill her husband within the same year. She was buried in Calvary Cemetery in Lot 36 of Section 1, not with her husband. So, Lot 36 was a low-level, single burial section of the cemetery. While it was not for the completely poor, it was for people of extremely limited means who could only pay the bare minimum. Graves were filled in chronological order, and the vast majority are not marked with gravestones due to the obvious financial difficulties of the families. These spots went for about $13 and were very clearly the cheapest of all the graves in the cemetery. By the way, none of her family members are buried there either. So back to Charles Bronnett, whose grave is unmarked in the Adam Lemp plot. While William or Louise could not prevent his burial there since Adam had given him right of interment, they could certainly not be bothered to buy him a headstone. Indeed, they seemed to have little concern for Albertine's place of burial, allowing her to be interred in an unmarked pauper's grave. And while Charles and Albertine Bronnett died only months apart from each other, they were also desperately poor, which came after the Bronnetts received a large cash buyout from William for his half of the brewery ownership. So, where the fuck did all their money go?
Yeah, they don't sound like they were that great with it.
None of them are. Oh my God, none of these people are, I mean, I guess that's what happens. I mean, he wasn't rich. He was not one of the ones, born with a silver spoon. He just kind of came into money, and I guess he was, one of those guys, you win the Powerball and you just blow it all.
Right. Yeah, just go bananas.
I guess that's what they did. And I mean, what did it matter? They both got TB. So again, it's one of those, what is it? You're not going to take it with you. Isn't that what they say?
You can't take it with you. So
yeah.
You might as well spend it.
But why couldn't the other Lemp family members be bothered to help provide a spot in the Adam Lemp plot in Bellefontaine Cemetery for Charles's wife? or even to buy a headstone for Charles. I mean, that's a little bizarre.
They're cheap bastards. How about that?
They were cheap. Maybe
they're just like, you're unimportant. So
yes.
That's money we can save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it went. And this might be a stretch, but if Charles was buried without his wife in a cemetery with other family members that kind of seemed like they didn't really give a fuck about him too much, my guess is that it might have been his voice that we reached that day that Wendy pulled out her recorder and caught "I don't have far" and "I got it," because I feel like he might be unrested.
I mean, you could definitely see that. He wasn't put to rest, like, in a good place, basically. He might have only taken it was charity in a sense. Like, he can't afford even the $13 or just to save the dime or whatever. Let's get him buried in this nice fancy cemetery because he has his connection with the family name. You know what I mean? So it was like a free spot because of his name and his bloodline. But other than that, he didn't really seem to connect or know these people. So it wasn't like it's not a good place to rest.
No, it didn't seem like that at all. More and more that I read, like, his buyout seemed more forced than something that he was really looking to do. I mean, they were just like, dude, you're like a half brother. You're not really the bloodline. So they squeezed him out, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
So even if he was trying, he didn't stand a chance. It also seems like Charles was never truly a full partner in the Lemp Brewery. The new brewery took the name William J. Lemp and Company, and advertisements stressed that his half-uncle was clearly in charge. So, wasn't that a fun story? These bitches were spending some money. So now the Lemp Mansion is an awesome restaurant and inn which hosts tours, both historical and haunted. And it has become a venue for murder, mystery, dinner, theater, and Halloween parties. As a matter of fact, they just had a huge Halloween bash on October 26th. I'm so fucking jealous because I bet that was one hell of a party.
I bet.
You know?
I love that place.
I know. But we would be like, yeah, this party's cool. Can y'all quiet down? We got to hunt some ghosts.
Get your out of here.
Shut up. You remember? Because when we stayed the night, they were doing like karaoke or something in the bar. And we're like, how long is this going to go on?
The bar was hopping. And we were like, when are they going to shut the fuck up?
We were. Like, we were sitting in the Charles Lemp suite room, whatever. And we're like, God, she doesn't need to be even trying to hit that note. What?
That's right.
Drinking, having a good time. And we're just like, lady, it's past your curfew. Get the fuck out of here.
That's the kind of people we are. There's people downstairs, like, having a good time, having a party. We could totally interact with them. And we are sitting in our room waiting for it to stop.
We're the old ladies. Go to bed.
We have our equipment laid out on the bed, and we are just sitting in the chairs waiting for everything to stop so that we can start roaming the house.
I think the only thing I really left out was the caves. And guys, they're there, but you can't have them. Access to them from inside the Lemp is closed off. Mm-hmm. And after a long, treacherous hike, which takes you up a hillside, maybe I should say mountain, crossing a river on foot through a maze of wood. Look, it's fucking dangerous. But we found it. And guess what? It's sealed off. So again, you can't have it.
No.
When I was getting ready to because I was putting the story together, and I go onto YouTube, onto our page, and they're staring me in the face is the Chris Crosses the River video. And I'm like, why all of a sudden is this out here all on its own? Why is it here? Like, what? So I have to watch it. Of course, I laughed the whole time. I'm like, damn, my hair was long and I had some highlights going on back in the day. And it's a stupid video. It basically shows you guys why you don't go anywhere in any kind of boots or shoes that you don't want to ruin, because it will happen.
And that's totally my fault. I completely made that public.
Oh, you did? I was just like, no, it's fine that it's public. But I was panicky. I even told my husband, I'm like, she just all of a sudden put this video out there. Like, this is the week I'm doing this story. And she just put this out there.
Oh,
like,
that is funny. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. No, we had mentioned it in another podcast. And I was like, why haven't we made this clip public? We talked about it. She picks all the wrong shoes. We have to put this out there.
It was so funny. Watching that, it was such a good time. And I'm such a cheese ball. I love reliving our moments because it's an adventure every single time we go somewhere. So Wendy did inform me prior to packing my bags for going to St. Louis that we would be going through the woods to find the caves. And I don't have hiking boots. So I just packed my cute boots that are suede, and not like rugged suede, like lace up rugged suede. Like these are like slouchy boots. They're cute. You wear your skinny jeans tucked into them, whatever. So we get to this park where we can find the caves. We go off into some like Blair Witch style woods. Like, there are wooden figures of people hanging from the trees.
I missed that.
Yeah. She's dragging me through the woods. There's this river that runs straight down the middle of it.
It's a creek.
There was a point where we had to swing across from one to the other on this vine that barely held on to the tree. I mean, talk about adventure, guys. Wendy will bring it to you.
There's a creek up a hill. But once you get up there, you do see that it is barred off to get into the cave. So bummer alert right there. But it was kind of cool to look inside of them, and the walk through the woods was the funniest thing ever. So it was totally worth it.
It was totally worth it, guys. Seriously. We feel like the Lemp Mansion is haunted. We feel like the cemetery is haunted. I know those caves are haunted, even though we couldn't explore them. We're both eagerly awaiting our return to St. Louis to investigate it again. Lemp Mansion, guys, if you want to sponsor us, do a podcast from your awesome mansion, because we love it there.
We do. The food was great. The service was great. The feeling of the house was just amazing. I think what we loved the most was both nights we were there, it was full of people with all the same intentions, and they had the same chill vibe, and they just wanted to experience the house. Like, just show us what you got. And it does. It shows up for you. It's like, I got a voice over here talking to you. I got pictures I can give you. It was an experience. We had a great time.
Yeah. Wendy is so right about that. Not only from the people that were like renting out their suites, like with us, but like just the people that worked there. They were so friendly and warm and sweet. And it's so funny because, look, I told Wendy, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, I edited this story down 5 different times. I had originally wrote this as our experience only. And I mean, I remember when we walked in and signed in, and the dude was like, all right, your room's upstairs. And I'm like, and where's the guy that's going to carry our bags? Because, but all jokes aside, he turned out to be such a sweetheart. And like when we were sitting downstairs eating, I was so panicky about the food situation because, like I said before, I'm a celiac, and I have to be worried about that because I don't want to be at a paranormal investigation hunched over in the toilet or on the bed where I can't move because I'm in so much pain. They fucking took care of me like nobody's business. Like I was their daughter. And this guy came up. I don't know his name. Sweetheart of a man.
It was
Chris, right?
No, his name was Matt. Yeah, so I would remember that name, but yeah.
He came up to us. He went through the whole menu with me, let me know that he was going to take care of me. And that just really set my mind at ease.
You didn't get sick, yeah.
And not the second night either, because we ate dinner there again.
Yeah, we were like, should we go out and see the rest of the city? Nah.
No, that was so funny. It was Wendy's birthday, and we were upstairs, and we were preparing to go out to actually, check out St. Louis. But the mansion was so cool, and I think Ghost Adventures was on, so we just watched TV.
That's right, because in our second room, we did have a TV. Yes. And so, yeah, we just watched Ghost Adventures until the place quieted down, or whatever.
Yeah.
We were all dressed up for nothing.
We were all dressed up for nothing. I did catch some weird pictures in that room, too. But again, there's just so much. Wendy said it already, but yeah, this place definitely shows up for you. It's almost like they want to put on a show for you, and or they don't. They want you to leave so much that they're vocal about it and like, cool, give us a sign if you really want us to go. Say it again. Wait, I didn't quite hear you the first time. Now, make something move. Sorry, Ghost, we're kind of cruel. But in case you haven't already heard me say this 1,000 times, we have a landslide of other EVPs and videos out there. I just couldn't squeeze it all into one episode for you. So I picked out a few that I thought I really would be interested in discussing, bringing back those memories for Wendy and I. But there are so many more on our YouTube page, so you can go and check them out. That is COTN Paranormal, which is short for Creatures of the Night, in case you didn't know. We will also post a few things this week on our social media page. On Instagram, it's COTN_paranormal. And on Facebook and Twitter, it's COTN paranormal, no underscore. We just threw that away for those 2 pages. Please visit us on any of those places, whichever one you like the most. If you have any questions about any of the things that we discussed, any of our evidence, any of our pictures that we'll be putting out there, or if you just want a little bit more information, we'll try our best to jog our memories as best as we can and get you that information. Just message us or email us at creaturesofthenight@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I know that was like the longest story ever. What was it, like 3.5 hours? So,
Yeah.
so instead of my voice for the sign off, you're just going to hear me flapping away at the microphone here. It's my bye-bye. That's it. You hear that?
I thought you meant like a bat.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, I mean, it's a haunted house, right? So I have to turn into bat and blah.
Yeah,
fly away.
Yeah. Okay, just real quick before we go. Recommendation, if you've never watched What We Do in the Shadows.
I knew that's what you're going to say.
It comes on FX, What We Do in the Shadows. Gotta fucking watch it. Make sure you watch the movie too. It's awesome. But one of the guys in the TV show, when he turns into a bat, he just yells bat. And then he just screams it and then transforms into a bat. So like, I don't know. When you were talking about like flopping in front of your mic or whatever, I just envision you just yelling bat and taking off and then we're done. Wouldn't that be an ending?
Yeah, right? That's what I was going to say. I don't want to copycat, but like all we have to do is say like yell ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's our new thing. That's it.
Got it. All right.
Trademark, that's
well,
it.
Thank you for that story. I'm so glad that we finally visited that one because that is one of our favorite locations. It was an all around good experience to have, even if you're not a paranormal investigator, but you like a little creepy stuff. So thanks for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. And don't be surprised. I'm sure we'll sprinkle more in later on our podcasts because like I said, there was just too much. I couldn't fit it all into this show. So yes, there it is all out there for you. We visited this place and there's the story, but I'm sure we'll talk about it some more just because we love it
that much. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. That's it.
Bye.